What if I told you the first state in America is also one of its most surprising? A place so small you can drive across it in under 2 hours, yet it quietly shaped the story of the United States in ways most people never notice. This is the untold story of Delaware, and it's not what you think. When most people think of America's early history, they picture Boston, Philadelphia, or Virginia. Delaware rarely comes to mind. It doesn't have towering skyscrapers or massive cities. Yet on December 7, 1787, Delaware did something no other state had done. It became the first to ratify the U.S. Constitution. The first state. But how did this tiny strip of land along the Atlantic earn that title? And what hidden stories are waiting beneath its quiet towns and rivers? Long before European settlers arrived, the land was home to the Lenape people, who Europeans called the Delaware tribe. They lived along rivers and forests, building communities deeply connected to the land. Their trade networks and alliances influenced the earliest interactions with settlers, shaping the region's future in ways often overlooked. In the 1600s, it wasn't the English who arrived first. The Dutch came first, and soon after, the Swedes. In 1638, Swedish settlers established New Sweden along the Delaware River and built Fort Christina in what is now Wilmington. For nearly 2 decades, Sweden controlled parts of the region. Later, the Dutch and then the English took over. Delaware changed hands like a strategic piece on a chessboard. Small in size, but valuable in position. For much of its early history, Delaware was governed as part of Pennsylvania under William Penn, known as the Three Lower Counties. So when the American Revolution began, Delaware faced a unique identity challenge. Was it connected to Pennsylvania or its own entity? Where did its loyalty lie? One of the most dramatic moments in Delaware's story involves Caesar Rodney. In 1776, the Continental Congress faced a tie vote on independence. Rodney, far from the meeting and dealing with personal challenges, rode through the night to cast the deciding vote. His journey of courage and determination helped ensure Delaware played a pivotal role in America's founding. As the 19th century arrived, Delaware transformed into an important hub for innovation. The DuPont family founded a company along the Brandywine River that would grow into a global enterprise, producing chemicals, explosives, and later groundbreaking materials like nylon and Teflon. Small towns became centers of science and industry, quietly shaping industries worldwide. Over time, Delaware also became a home for businesses of all kinds. Its laws and specialized courts created a space where companies could grow with clarity and support. While its influence is often quiet, it has helped shape national commerce and innovation in ways far larger than its size would suggest. Delaware is a state of contrasts. Beaches and boardwalks in Rehoboth, peaceful farmland in Sussex, historic streets in Newcastle, and industrial centers along the rivers. It's a place that feels calm and unassuming. Yet beneath the surface, it has been a crossroads of history, commerce, and innovation. From the first votes of the nation to the rise of industries that would impact the world, Delaware has repeatedly proven that small places can leave a huge mark. And we've only just begun to uncover its story. Close your eyes and picture Delaware at sunrise. Mist rising from the marshlands, the Atlantic waves rolling quietly onto Rehoboth Beach. Colonial brick buildings glowing in golden light. It feels gentle, but Delaware has always been a place where power moves quietly. After the Civil War, as America industrialized, the DuPont family reshaped not just Delaware, but global industry. During World War I, DuPont supplied massive quantities of gunpowder to the Allied forces. By some estimates, nearly 40% of the explosives used by the Allies came from this one company rooted in Delaware soil, a state smaller than Rhode Island, helping fuel a global war effort. Yet power brought scrutiny. By the early 20th century, DuPont faced antitrust lawsuits. Critics argued it had grown too dominant. The federal government forced parts of it to break up. Even here, in this small, quiet state, the battle between corporate power and public accountability was playing out. Fast forward to the late 20th and early 21st century. Banks began flocking to Delaware after the state changed its laws to remove caps on interest rates. Credit card giants moved in. Financial institutions found a friendly regulatory environment. Wilmington's skyline filled with corporate logos. To some, Delaware became a symbol of economic ingenuity. To others, it represented a loophole haven, a place where shell companies could exist behind minimal disclosure. It raises a question. Is Delaware a model of smart legal innovation or a master of strategic ambiguity? Even culturally, Delaware sits in an in-between space. It's not quite north, not quite south. Drive through its counties and you'll feel it shift. Northern Delaware leans toward Philadelphia's urban influence. Southern Delaware feels slower, more rural, almost southern in tone. It's a borderland state, geographically and culturally. And maybe that's its secret. It has always adapted, from native land to Swedish colony, from contested territory to the first state, from slaveholding Union state to industrial powerhouse, from chemical empire to corporate capital of America. Over and over, Delaware reinvents itself. But here's something most people don't know. In 1861, when the Civil War erupted, Delaware was deeply divided. Though it stayed in the Union, there were strong Confederate sympathies in parts of the state. Federal troops were quietly positioned to prevent secessionist uprisings. Imagine that tension, neighbors unsure of each other's loyalties. A state walking a tightrope between identities. Delaware didn't experience massive battlefield destruction like other states, but its internal struggle was very real. History often celebrates loud places, big cities, grand battles, dramatic speeches. Delaware's story is different. Its power has always been subtle. Even geographically, it holds quiet significance. The Mason-Dixon line, the symbolic boundary between North and South, touches Delaware's western edge. That line would later define political and cultural divisions that shaped the entire nation. And then there's something almost poetic. Delaware was the first state to ratify the Constitution, yet it was one of the last to symbolically approve the Civil War amendments decades later. First and late, progressive and resistant, small yet immense in impact. Maybe Delaware represents America more than we realize. A place of ambition and contradiction, innovation and inequality, quiet confidence and hidden controversy. Today, when you see a major corporation on Wall Street, there's a strong chance its legal home is Delaware. When you swipe a credit card, the issuing bank may be based there. When you think of presidential politics, a longtime Delaware senator shaped decades of national policy. All roads, in some subtle way, seem to have passed through this small state. But if you visit, you won't see monuments boasting about corporate law. You'll see lighthouses, dunes, colonial houses, quiet neighborhoods. And maybe that's the point. Delaware doesn't shout. It doesn't need to. Because sometimes the places that look the smallest on the map hold the deepest influence. So next time someone dismisses Delaware as just a tiny state between Maryland and New Jersey, remember this: it carried the first vote that made America official. It fueled wars that reshaped the world. It built legal frameworks that anchor global corporations. And it continues to influence the highest levels of political power, all from a place you can drive across before lunch. Delaware isn't just the first state. It might be the quiet architect of modern America, and maybe the most powerful stories are the ones history whispers instead of shouts.